that we're able to have your ongoing participation in NHSN, National Healthcare Safety Network. This webinar will be reviewing long-term care facilities, getting started, enrollment, and setup. And so we've outlined a couple of different objectives for you today. And as soon as I'm able to do this slide, I'll review those with you. But in the meantime, some of the topics that are going to be covered in the webinar series are CDI, urinary tract infections, and then we'll also be following up with some frequently asked questions so that we are sure that you're confident in using this application, which may be to many of you. Okay. Oh, there we go. So our topics for today are we're going to talk about the 5 steps for NHSN enrollment and some resources that you might find helpful for that enrollment process. Then we're going to understand the key components for setting up NHSN, and then you should be prepared to enroll and set up NHSN from your facility. There will be some key dates I'm going to review with you at the end of this presentation. And I wanted to thank Jackie Rubin for helping us to get started on this journey. As many of you know, is the infectious disease epidemiologist. And so we, myself, Nancy, and Jackie, as well as other members of their team, many of you, when we were down at the facilities in the ICAR assessments the winter and the spring of this year. So speaking to this myself, Carolyn Jackson, and then my colleague Nancy Donegan will also be joining us to talk about the very exciting process. Many of you may not think it's exciting, but it is a very exciting time to get one on board with NHSN. Nancy and I have had over 70 years in the field of infection prevention and control. So happy to serve as consultants on this project and subject matter experts, and hopefully of help to all of you. So I started by talking about what is the National Healthcare Safety Network. Well, first of all, let me just start by saying you can't break it. So to give some of you a little bit more comfort, and that this is a web-based system that is supported by the Centers for Disease Control. There are several modules that are available to long-term care facilities, and these include urinary tract infections, antibiotic use, DROs, as well as adherence to hand hygiene and gown and glove use. So the whole system for NHSN contains data which is used by facilities for surveillance, benchmarking, as well as internal quality improvements. Data establishes, but CDC establishes national benchmarks and monitors success of our efforts to prevent HAIs or healthcare-associated infections. Reasons why you need to interface with NHSN. Let's start out by saying that the long-term care module was then released by the Centers for Disease Control in September of 2012. And that year they started out with maybe about 30, a little less than 40 facilities reporting into NHSN. And we're, of course, not in every state. By 2017, we have over 2,000, close to 1,000 nursing homes, all 50 states, as well as the District of Columbia and Puerto Rico, which also have enrolled in NHSN. And so numbers are going to continue to increase because all of you will be joining that coalition of people who are, coalition of facilities that are enrolling in NHSN. There are Get your phone on mute if you're not if you're listening in. Thank you. Legislative mandate within the District of Columbia for reporting, and that's effective since December 2016. As well as you also need to interface with NHSN to comply with some of the CMS final rule, which is 4A3.8, I'm sure most of you are familiar with that. And you to be able to identify the most common or most harmful infections impacting the residents of your facility as well as the staff at your facility. And then have a baseline, as well as we'll be collecting data to develop and evaluate infection prevention activities so that you will be able to learn where to focus your improvement efforts for infection prevention in your facility. CDC has an training for long-term care, and I just wanted to point this out to you. You can also find this information on the landing page, the National Healthcare Safety Network training, and so that is going to take place on Wednesday, July 18th. That information is going to be presented in the web stream format, so I strongly encourage all of you to enroll and to take that training just so you can get more information at your fingertips for your NHSN journey. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about the enrollment steps of NHSN. And there are 5 major steps that you all need to take attention to so that you get your facility successfully enrolled in NHSN. Now, to begin that process, there is an enrollment checklist. You can find enrollment checklist, NHSN long-term care landing page, or you can use this link here in order to access that enrollment checklist. Help you would be to print this out and follow along with this, because this will tell you where you are in integrating this NHSN process within your facility. So about how you can get started and going over some of those steps. Of interest to you also might be the CDC has identified time frames that would be you should target. So some of the steps take 15 minutes, some of them take 5 minutes, and some of them take up to an hour, and there are some that are more than that. So it is a 2-page document that I would only encourage you to print out and have you follow along with that so that you can develop keep track of your progress in doing your and moving forward your NHSN enrollment journey. So 2 documents that you do want to complete and have a review of. One of them is the long-term care facility overview training, and then the second one is the complete enrollment training. Both the documents are not overburdensome, so a good, helpful idea to review those as you get started. You are keeping track of all the things that you need to be doing. And I might say that I have been with NHSN over the years in the various different employment roles that I have held, and have been numerous refinements made to this process, and it's much, much simpler. And what they have done also is to include a lot of tutorial, step-by-step information so they can't get lost. And as I said earlier, you're not going to be able to break it. So don't be afraid to just move forward the steps that are identified. And if you do have questions, there is help available for you. So these documents you need to review and come familiar with as you proceed on this journey. So, next thing I wanted to point out to you I'm losing. Sorry to move it forward. Let me just see. Once you have reviewed that overview training, we're still on step 1 now, is to complete your facility contact information form, as well as your annual survey form. The long-term care facility component annual facility survey. These 2 documents are available to you, and they should be completed by your NHSN administrator. Just a word about your NHSN administrator. It's not necessarily the administrator of your facility. Someone needs to be identified as the NHS administrator for your facility, And also consider having a backup person to become familiar with the NHSN processes. The administrator, there's a defined role for that person, as well as they are your primary contact person from your facility or NHSN. So in most cases, it will be your IP, your infection preventionist, but you should also consider having someone walking alongside you to move on an NHSN journey, so that it's not solely a one-person effort. Now, some reason, we're being on slides.
Can you not see the slides, Carolyn?
I can't. I'm not sure anyone else is seeing them either.
I've seen them as well.
Okay. Apologies. Reading. Oh. I think a little bump when someone joined. Can you see slides now?
I can see now.
Passing back to you, Carolyn. I apologize.
Oh. So one of the things that we talked about the form that you need to complete in terms of enrollment training and preparation. Some information that is required in the enrollment preparation and those forms, you need to get some of that information from your business office, because they ask for things like your average daily census and also certain numbers that your facility has, billing for Medicare, and your business office would have that information, and it is required that you place it on this form. Now, this form will become submitted electronically, but for electronic submission, it's strongly advised that you complete the form by hand. So if you have completed those contact form, as well as your annual survey form, keep in mind that these are going to be electronically submitted in step 4, but in the meantime, you have them prepared. Next thing you want to do, and this is step 2 in your enrollment journey, and as soon as I can have an opportunity to grab control of this, I will.
Can you move it, Carolyn, can you move it? Can you try real quick?
I'm trying, and it's not moving.
Okay, go ahead and move it forward so you can keep going, and just let me know when you want the slides to move forward.
Next, right there. So the NHSN registration is the step that you're going to. This is an 11-page document, and it discusses your user responsibilities and ethical codes while using NHSN as a facility or group administrator. So when you complete the NHSN registration, you can review and accept the NHSN rules of behavior. And this is the 11-page document, a screenshot of which is here, and then you will be able to move forward with your registration, your enrollment process. So you'll register your email address, and once you've registered your email address, you receive 2 emails back from NHSN. The first one arrives immediately and is a welcome to NHSN email. And you'll have an invitation to register. That one will come with your SAMS, come from a mailbox that says SAMS no reply. That one will get to you within 24 hours. So you're going to accept the behavior, my email address, and we'll get back these 2 emails. Jackie. Now, SAMS registration, SAMS stands for your Secure Access Management Services. One of the acronyms that the Centers for Disease Control uses, and as you become more familiar with NHSN, everyone who is accessing the system needs a SAMS registration. There's SAM's registration online form that you need to complete. There's a form, so this form needs to be completed to register for your SAM's card. What our ultimate goal here is to get a SAM's registration card. So this is the first steps that you need to pursue in order to get the SAM's registration. Our SAM registration, remember, this is a secure access management system. What you will do is once you get invitation to join, you will receive once you log in with a username and password that's provided in that email. So they sent you an email inviting you to join and giving you a password there. And again, you'll need to, on the next slide, I think, Jackie, you'll need to read and accept SAM's rules of behavior. Now, these SAM's rules of behavior are very similar to the NHSN rules of behavior, and they identify your user responsibilities and the ethical rules for using this system. So here are your username, which is your email address. Keep in mind to use the same email address throughout this process, and then the same passcode that you will receive in your email address in your from SAM's no reply mailbox. Okay. So in the SAM's registration, the form looks like this. And at registration page, you will be required to enter the following information: your name, your home address, facility name, your facility address, as well as your contact phone number. Now, the address is what is used by the Secure Access Management System to mail you your SAM's card. So, as I said earlier, you're ultimately trying to get a SAM's card. And go back one slide up in the corner here, and you'll have a picture of your SAM's card. SAM's grid card is right here in this corner, being circled. And so that's what you're ultimately going to focus on receiving registration process. So as we see back to our next slide, and within 24 hours of completing your SAM's registration, now it's important that you be mindful of these time frames, because as you proceed through the enrollment process, some are not always adhered to by the NHSN, and it's important that you keep on top of it, as I said earlier, with your enrollment checklist, and that way you will know when you need to pull their string to see where your information is. So within 24 hours of completing that registration, you're going to receive a confirmation email. Email now directs you to fulfill the identity verification requirements, which on the slide we'll look a little bit about what that identity verification requirement entails. Everyone who is enrolled in the SAM's Secure Access Management System has to have a notarized attestation that you are who you say you are. So you complete the identity verification form, then you're going to take the application and identity documentation to a notary public. And this notary is going to endorse the application using their commission and stamp. Now, you'll need to take two government-approved verification documents. In this case, it's a passport or a driver's license. Others that the government approved that are considered acceptable, and these are listed for you when you get to your identity verification documentation. So also included here a phone number for the SAM's help desk. They are available 8 to 6, excluding holidays, as well as their email address. From time to time, you may need additional help, and feel they're very helpful, and they're usually very responsive. They have contractors who are working on this project, very responsive now. So you've completed the SAM's registration, and you've completed your identity verification form, and our next slide talks about what you're going to do with that information that has now been notarized. Well, you send that to CDC. You can upload it, you can fax it, or you can mail it. sure that you make copies of all of the information that you do send in there. You can, that this identity verification may take up to 4 weeks for you to get that information back. And the address and the fax number and address are if you decide that you want to fax it or snail mail it to the Centers for Disease Control. Know that from the time you have received your initial contact from SAMS, you have 60 days to complete this entire process. The time you receive the invitation to register from SAMS, you now have 60 days. So that if you don't complete it within that 60 days, and hopefully you will, because we're going to be working with you to facilitate this process. And so just keep in mind that if it's not completed, they're going to stop you from the registration process. Our slide looks at what happens after submitting these documents. So after submit the documents to NHSN as well as to SAMS, you're notified by email when they have been approved. You receive 2 emails here. One is from the SAMS portal, and then you also receive a welcome to NHSN document. Okay, next slide now says that your SAMS card is going to arrive at your home address. About 1 to 2 weeks after you receive those approval emails, you're going to receive a confirmation and SAMS grid card. As I said, this is to your home address, and if you wait than 2 weeks for this, then you need to contact the NHSN help desk to find where it is. As I said, they've been very responsive nowadays, and should get it within within 2 weeks. Next, you're going to submit all these forms electronically. Now, you also talked about the form you had completed earlier, the facility contact information form, and facility annual survey form, those things that you had been sending out earlier in the process. Now when you're going to submit those. So you're going to enroll in your NHSN, and then you're going to download and print those enrollment forms, which you've already done. They're already completed. You're going to enroll your facility. So this is the next to that step that you're going to take. So enrolling your facility into NHSN, and you're going to, once you've done that, you're going to click open, print, and sign the consent form. Please ensure you keep copies of all this information that you fax to CDC. And then after that, within 3 business days, you'll receive an NHSN enrollment approved email. You're finally there. So now your enrollment is complete. And the next step that we're going to talk about is NHSN setup, because that's what happens next. And next is going to walk you through the NHSN setup.
Thank you, Carolyn. I apologize about the control. Nancy, do you just want? You can keep it.
You can keep it. Yeah, that'll be fine, Jackie. We can like that. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Carolyn. Before we begin with the setup, is there anyone who has any questions that address about the enrollment piece? Okay, and as I begin, I also want to welcome everybody and also express that it's nice to get together with a lot of you again, that we really appreciated you opening your doors to us earlier this year, and hope that this process will be easy for you too. So I'm going to take control. Thank you, Jackie. Okay, so the setup steps. So this will be, you've already received your SAMS Club, you've done your enrollment, and now you want to tell the CDC about your facility so that you can begin reporting your infections. So there are a few simple steps for this too. You're going to, again, as Carolyn mentioned, do training at the locations. That's your different units. You'll tell CDC with a monthly reporting plan what you're going to report, and then you'll also invite other people in your facility, 1 or 2 other people, so that you won't be alone as the only user. So I'll walk through these steps at this point. So it really is quite easy to get around. There's a lot of different terms we're throwing around today, but you'll find in short order that these things are easy. So if you, once once you have access, a good thing to do is to, again, look at the training that CDC provides. And it's very easy to get to there. If you just Google NHSN training, you would get a screen like you see over on your left, and there's a couple of different options. There's 5 different options. There's one for long-term care facilities that we have circled here. So you would go to NHSN training. You would see this screen. Hit that picture of the for long-term care, and then immediately the screen you see on your right would open up a variety of different training programs that you could either refresh your information for or answer questions as you go through the different processes. And it's nice they've broken them into the different steps so you don't have to do everything at once, but they're just really well done and easy to get to. So, and after the training, the next thing that you're going to do is step 2, and this is what they call mapping locations. And basically, you want to tell the CDC about the locations, the units that you're going to be doing your reporting about. And this is an important thing, just to put a little bit of thought into how you're going to characterize the units so that you will be matched appropriately with other units. And for long-term care facilities, they give 7 options. There's a document that gives you more detail than we're showing here on the screen, but you would select, say, for example, probably for many of you, you would say that you're reporting on a general nursing unit. And so you would select that. Just make sure that you have the right type of unit for that you're reporting on. And then I'll show you on the next screen. Screen, you'll be able to enter that information. So on all of your screens that you'll enter into NHSN, you'll see that bar on the left where it says NHSN Home, and there's about 10 drop-downs that follow. You'll see that on every screen. It's a pretty simple array. So to map your locations, you will go to that bar. About off to the bottom, you see the sign the section for facility with the red arrow. As you hit that, there's a little drop down, and then you would say facility locations, because that's what you're doing. You're mapping your locations. If you hit that, then the information to the right of that would open up. And for each unit, you're going to enter really 4 different things. So you're going to enter what you call the unit. And in the example that's on the screen, they're calling the unit General, and they also have a code for General 1 South. And for many of us, the code name and the sort of longer label name are the same. Maybe in your facility you call 1 South, and so you could use the same term for your label and for your code. For some facilities, they may call 1 South the memory unit or something like that. So if you use a different term in general conversation, you can put both and call that the label one name and your code a different name. So they'll provide those things, and then we'll select the information I showed you before, the CDC description. Here they're saying it's a general nursing unit. And then to begin with, all of your units will be, the status will be active. But then if you had to deactivate a unit, you would have that option. And you will say the number of beds on that unit. So not just the filled beds, but the number of beds available for, receiving a resident. And after you put those elements in, you would say add. So if you have a large facility, it's kind of good to group these ideas together so that you can kind of fluidly put them in. But it really only takes a couple of minutes to enter each unit. So then CDC will know how to categorize the infections that you report or the non-infections that you report from those locations. So step 2, mapping locations. Step 3 is to tell CDC what you'll be reporting. And so they expect a reporting plan before you do the reporting. So to do this reporting plan, again, you would see that bar on the left, that drop down, and the second step down there is the reporting plan, and you would say add. Some of these things are just as intuitive as you see here. And then go, as you say, add. Let me get to my screen here. so you would open it up, and then you would see the information such as you see in front of you. So basically, for every month that you'll be reporting, and those of us in D.C., it's going to be every month. So you would say the months and what be reporting. So so for each of you, what you'll start off with would be to say July 2018. So you will those two things in, and then would check the box for UTI, and that's an HAI module. So you would check that, and you'll be reporting Clostridium difficile infection. And so you would check that, and that is called a lab ID event. And, you know, we'll give more information about those terms, but you'll check those. So you would do it for July. Then it's nice to do it ahead of time so you don't have to worry about this aspect. Then you can just easily repeat that for August, September, October, so forth through the year. So they have told CDC to expect a report from you for each of those months. And each month will indicate if you have any infections and the other information about the number of resident days and so forth. And even if you have no infections, you would indicate to CDC no infections so that they know that you had attended to this plan. And they'll, you know, even give you clues. If you forgot to do a month or if you forgot a unit, you would be able to, you know, they would know that expectation that you'd be reporting to them. So you do those steps. Again, they're quite easy and very repetitive. And then step 4 is to add users and assign rights. And just as Glenn said, facilities will want to have at least 2 people who have access to NHSN, you know, to coverage, you know, for, you know, sort of like sharing the responsibility and also for being familiar with how it's used. So after you get your facility, you know, enrolled, it's a good idea to decide how many 2 or 3 people who would have rights to the facility. So if you're the administrator, what you do is to add someone. So CDC recommends that you use a sort of a code, such as like for myself, the first name and first initial and last name. So you would put for me N. Donegan, or maybe N. Donegan 123. You would give me your first name, Nancy, last name Donegan, and then fill in the phone number, and most importantly, the email address that will be the email address that that user used when they enroll in CDC. So, you know, so that everything matches up. And then you would add that person, after you give them, the last thing you do, after you add the person, you would also give them rights, and you can see the different realms, so long-term care, which rights you would assign to them. And this is not a one-time done kind of thing. For example, if you gave someone just the ability to add data, but then later you want to get them involved in analyzing the data, you can add more rights as you go. Assign the rights, then you would save that record, and then that person would be able to use the system as you would, and it's to have a buddy on these things. And then you will be done, and you would begin to use NHSN. As Karen mentioned, we'll do another webinar, and we'll also come out to help you to sort of get to that next step so that you feel comfortable in that reporting. Just to wrap it up and speak to what this look like on your summer calendars. There's a number of steps. Most of them go quicker. There's more time allotted here than you probably will need. But the idea will be that the enrollment will be, which was step 1, 2, 3, enrollment, registration, and applying for the SAMS card, to have that done by June 20th. And then submitting the facility survey and the contact information by July 6th. Step 5 of the enrollment process, to sign and send NHSN the agreements, which again, as Jackie indicated, is up on the screen. So, very quick process. That would be by July 13th. And then once that's all there and you are in the facility, and in August, you would do the last steps that I was talking about, to make your locations and make the monthly reporting plan and add users. And then in August, what we ask is that you go back and report your July information. So that would be if there were any urinary tract infections or any cases of Clostridium difficile. And then there's also information about the unit. So we would do that. We would do it for July, and then you'll be right in line to start probably in September to complete your August one. So you just would keep it going. So it's really a lot of information that we've gone over today. Most of this stuff sounds a little strange until you get your hands on it, and then it's quite simpler. But we're to help. So our main help is Jackie. Jackie from the Department of Health really is our main leader on all of this and just wonderfully helpful and available. And Carolyn and I will also be available. And on the left side of the screen, we have our contact information. And what we did was we broke up the facilities so that you could have one of us be more your contact person. And you can see the 5 facilities that Carolyn will work with and the 5 that I'll work with, and Jackie, again, our leader, will work with all. So don't feel at all thrown by what we've gone over today. We'll be there at every step, and again, I think most of it, when you put your fingers on, will seem quite simple. And along with us as help, the CDC, as Carolyn mentioned, really quite wonderful about this, both by email or phone call. They really just sort of are there to help. So I think you'll find that same experience. So that concludes the setup part. We're open to any questions.
This is Jackie. First of all, Carolyn and Nancy, thank you so much. We're so blessed to have 80-plus years of experience helping us out on all this. I do know it was a lot, and some people joined the call a little bit late. So we had said at the beginning, you want to make sure that we get down which facilities joined in your name. So if you could type your name and facility into the chat box. And if you have any questions, you can type them in there as well. But we're also open to questions on this call. I also just wanted to acknowledge Jill Harrison on the line.
Maybe she has it on mute. I did see her name pop up on the participant list.
Oh, so Jackie was Jackie Bell Harrison from Priestley, Delmarva, Clarence now. She assisted us with the first couple pilot facilities that were enrolled in NHSN in DC. So we currently have we have 7 of our 18 long-term care facilities already reporting, or skilled nursing facilities already reporting CDI into NHSN. And we worked with her previously, and she was integral and very helpful, and was willing to provide any sort of tips, tricks of the trade, any encounters that the previous skilled nursing facilities had that were challenges. So I just wanted to throw that out there. And when she's back on the line, she can join. But
Jackie?
Oh, hey, Jackie. I was just saying.
I'm on. I never left. I was just trying to figure out how best to unmute myself.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
Yeah, like Jackie was saying, Jay and I worked together to get the first 7 facilities to sign up, and really it does seem like a lot. There are multiple steps. As Nancy was saying and Carolyn was saying, is once you kind of get through the steps, it really flows along fairly smoothly. The first big step, of course, is getting on the SAMS card, because that's really what gets the ball rolling and gets your facility started in the process. And once you get through each one of the steps and you follow the guide, it really is pretty much a self-paced step process. What we learned.
Yeah, thank you. And I know we were in that first cohort, so NHSN was kind of overwhelmed with all of the applications coming in, and it was a little bit difficult for some of those initial facilities. But realizing what Jackie just said is getting started, and what Carolyn said too, getting your SAMS card, and that's the start of everything. Because unless you use that to kind of move forward. So really, that application, getting that notarized form signed and sent in so you receive your SAMS card is key. And I'll be quiet now and let anybody, any questions that they have there. But also keeping in mind that you can reach out to me, Nancy, or Carolyn at any point in time with a call, an email as you're going through this process with questions or concerns. But we'll take any questions now as well.
Well, Nancy, again, while people are hopefully thinking of questions, the other thing I just wanted to comment is, there's like just a lot of little steps to this, and again, it sort of seems burdensome at once, but there's a lot of advantages I think everyone will feel in short order. And it helps you to do reporting for your quality meetings or for your institution, but it really links you with this great resource that you get information from NHSN. It's sort of an important contribution that you're making to the understanding that's going to be a national understanding, and you're just much better grounded in the whole discipline of infection prevention and healthcare by being part of this system. So I think everyone I know has found that after the initial sort of baby steps, and you really realize that you're part of a big, important network.
The fact that we're not hearing any questions, does it mean that we're ready to get off the call and jump into the registration and enrollment process?
So I guess it's only 12:46. So of the facilities who are on the call, just have a question for you. Have you guys identified who the NHSN? I'm sharing my screen now too. Who the NHSN administrator is going to be, and who in your facility will also apply for a SAMS card, so they can either enter in your section data or log into NHSN to view data or create reports. Did that yet? Nobody says anything. I'm going to call out the ones I know are online.
No would is yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
For Bridgepoint, yes. Yes.
Oh, great.
So single side, yeah.
Actually, I don't know if you guys can see my screen right now. Yeah. So I actually just put in my username and password, and this is what pops up with the grid card. So you have your grid card to be able to do this little logistics thing because it's again, secure access management system. So it's very secure, and every time that you log in, you're going to have a new, it could be E1, A2, J, or I3, and it's something different every time. That's why you have to have your grid card to be able to gain access to the system. So on my grid card right now, and putting in what it's asking. So I was trying to show you, there we go. So things that Nancy was saying that you can do is this system provides, you can generate a data set. So when you enter in your information about, when you enter in your line listing, right, which a lot of you guys may be doing by hand, or you have an Excel spreadsheet or whatnot, the good thing about this is when you enter in those cases here, you can actually generate, oops, so I have generated a report here. So you you run a line list, you can run a rate, and all these reports, it will run for you in the analysis button. You can print those out for your coffee meetings or anything. It's a little bit of an ease on you in dealing with the data. So I was going to show that, but it's obviously process data. So we'll get more into this in future webinars. But everybody has their, identified of who they want, to be the administrator and who signed up for SAM card. Do you guys have any questions about that process and the next steps are there?
So you go back to the contact by facility slide that we inserted. So that one. I think at Bridgepoint here, Britton Woods.
Oops. All right, I apologize, everybody. I'm just learning how to use this Vex tool, and it's really neat, but I keep messing it up.
You do now.
Here, I guess, so, especially comes to the mapping piece where, you actually have your SAMS card and you're starting to, quote unquote, map your location. So what you consider to be your general nursing unit, if you have a dementia unit or whatever, if you have different types of units, align them with what CDC considers a general nursing or a vent unit or dementia unit, as Missy had mentioned. Again, so we make sure when we run like the rates in the SIRs, when we run the reports, that when we do these comparisons between you and other facilities nationwide, that we're comparing your facility to a like facility. So, for example, if you don't deal with any vent patients, we wouldn't be considering your facility to be comparable to a facility like that. We would want to compare your facility to other facilities who only maybe do, short-term rehab or general nursing. And that's the key mapping. And we found in the past that'd be a little bit figuring out that. It can be difficult. So we're, as Nan had mentioned in this slide, you can see we have on-site assistance. We actually will come out and log into NHSN with you all and map out those locations with you.
A question.
Mm-hmm.
Is this for the assisted living and, for the memory care side, or just for skilled units?
Just for your skilled units.
Okay.
If you want to, you can do your facility. As mentioned, and I was saying with the report generation, it does help you, but that's not required.
Thank you.
Got the slide? Thank you.
So just now showing you so you can pull up based on, if you just enter each you pull up a line listing. So for example here, and this is just the resident the date, event, C-diff, stool, where they were, transfer form, and actually then go to a resident in here and put in a resident's ID or name and search for them, and it would pull up a resident, for example, here. So if this is your facility ID, is a resident, up what events they had, and be like if they had a UTI or a C. diff event in the past. So it's useful in that sense. They haven't any data in this yet, but
Jackie?
Yeah.
Asking the facilities as to whether they think that they're going to be able to comply with the dates that Nancy identified for getting started. Comfortable with those dates?
Bridgepoint, are you comfortable with those dates?
Unfortunately, we can't enlarge the screen, so my eyes can't see that small print for the date.
Okay.
Sorry, I told you learning.
Better, yes. I think that those dates are quite achievable.
Okay. Do these dates work for you as well?
Send it to the email, right?
I want to say we can always call if getting difficult.
All right. Ingleside? Okay. Thomas Circle? Okay. Greenwood?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay. Is there anyone from United Medical Center on the line as well? Nope. And Brittonwood? DuPont Circle? Nope. Okay. Thank you, everyone. All right. Well, since we're approaching the last 2 minutes of the webinar, just wanted to thank you again for joining the webinar today. We know it's a busy schedule, especially coming just off a holiday. So again, we appreciate you taking the time to attend this webinar. We will be sending copies of the presentation as well as the audio for you to share with your team, as well as go over again as you kind of work through the beginning steps of the enrollment process. Please hesitate to reach out to Nancy, Jackie, or if you have any additional questions. Later on, a couple of months, they will also be on site to give assistance in the form as well. So there'll be a wealth of assistance to help you get through this process. So please don't feel intimidated by any of the items. And again, please reach out if you have any additional questions. And thank you again for attending, and we will be in touch to, again, send the presentation, the audio, and give you information on the additional webinars that are coming up within the series.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
If anybody's still on the line, I'll still remain on if you have any questions. Yeah, this is Jackie. If you guys have any questions, I'll still be on.
Yeah, Jackie, this is Cheryl from Bridgepoint.
Hi, I'm sorry. sorry, I screwed up that webinar.
Oh, it's fine. I was telling Ms. Brown that I have your contact number where I can further reach out to you for information, because I remember when you trained Brenda.
Yeah.
Right.
You're at National Harbor. I mean, you're at Capitol Hill, right?
Yes.
Right.
Brenda.
Rose, she's out right now, so I know a lot of it's on you. But I think the biggest thing is getting registered for your SAMS card, because you don't have that yet. I mean, she might have left you her SAMS card.
She did. Actually, in the process of getting mine with her, but now I'm on the SNF side. I'm just covering for the LTAC while Brenda is out.
So it doesn't matter. As long as you SNF your SAMS card, you can use that if you're at Bridgepoint, Capitol Hill, if you're at a different facility. That is unique to you. So as long as you get that, then you can move forward with the rest of the SNF enrollment and everything.
Okay, then. Okay, so it's passport, a current passport, and a driver's license that's needed, right?
Yes.
No. But can I use something else? Anything else?
Hold on a sec. Let me pull it. I think you can use I'll double check, but
what about my green card?
If you think.
Okay.